Manever I say ma PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV there, I see them yopo.
You are once again welcome to PENDREAM TV, the only channel that brings you the best and latest updates in politics. If you are new here, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell for more updates. Like and also share to other members to watch as well. You can equally leave a comment at the comment section after watching, or send us a voice note on our WhatsApp number, which is 0277 128 777. Thank you. I want you to join me.
Thank you very much, Doc. It's a matter of all talk shows. Alaji and Alaji. We are live from the side for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah studios of Pan African Television. Come Kwesi, Pratt.
Well, yesterday, especially last night, there were very troubling developments in this country. And myself and a few friends spent a lot of time monitoring these developments. By early morning yesterday, there was a rumor that the Inspector General of Police was about to be dismissed. And in our cross-checking, it did come out that there were some who were actually pushing for the dismissal of the Inspector General of Police. And the main reason for that was that the Inspector General of Police had refused to provide security for the illegal collation of results. Now, clearly, the collation of results for which the Inspector General of Police had refused to provide security was illegal. One, because it has no foundation in law. The recollation of results had no foundation in law. And worse still, the National Democratic Congress had sought an injunction from the High Court to restrain the Electoral Commission from collating the results. Somehow, yesterday, a judge of the High Court ruled that the illegal collation of results could proceed. And somehow, it's difficult to explain, the IGP continues to be in office up till now. What is interesting is that following the decision of the High Court, the 5th Battalion of Infantry was given orders to protect installations of the Electoral Commission and the person of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission last night. Indeed, armored vehicles were moved to her house for her protection, and some soldiers from 5BN were moved to provide protection for the installation of the Electoral Commission. Then we came across also an order issued by a senior police officer, not the Inspector General of Police, and that is very significant, for the mobilization of 5,000 policemen, 5,000 policemen and women from all over the country into the capital today to protect installations of the Electoral Commission. 5,000 policemen and women. I mean, an incredible development. Now, for those who are busy mobilizing policemen and soldiers to aid them in whatever enterprise they are taking upon themselves, I have news for you. It is the same soldiers and policemen you were mobilizing who were leaking the information. All the others are on social media as we speak. All the instructions which were issued are on social media as we speak. How can I get to the source? If the policemen and soldiers were happy with what we were putting them up to. Now, for the purpose of collating results of 2 constituencies, policemen from all over the country were being redeployed to Accra, the obvious implication is that we are leaving security gaps across the country. Somebody must begin to think. Somebody must begin to think. What happened last night was disgraceful. It did not take into account national security considerations and so on. It was just focused on achieving a narrow parochial objective of a defeated political party. And I feel sad that what happened last night did happen. You know, troop movements, and Dr. Tonedu has been defense minister before, is something which should be done sparingly. You can't read the mind of the soldier. Can you? You can't. So if you give them the opportunity to move and so on, God knows where it's going to end. But our leaders sometimes are so stupid. Unfortunately, sometimes our leaders are so stupid. They do things which may not be in their interest. Everybody knows that in this last election, at least if you take the presidential vote, the gap is almost 1.6 million votes. Almost, or at least 1.6 million votes was the gap. Everybody knows that this party in government has been so disgracefully humiliated in the election and so on. If you are moving troops, you should be careful. Because the credibility is gone. Your credibility is completely gone. You don't move troops. When you wake up in the morning, if you pray, I don't pray, but if you pray that 7 January comes quickly so that you can exit. You don't create conditions which can upset the status quo now, if you are sensible. But unfortunately, last night, all of these things happened. And I'm worried. I'm worried because in the run-up to the elections, we were assured by government and others close to government that as for the military, they would not be involved in the elections at all. Were we not assured? Why were we given that assurance? There must be a reason why we're given that assurance. Now, how come that last night somebody made a decision to involve the military in the election processes? How come? I can't understand. But you see, Senna, be that as it may, this recollation of results, I can't believe it. As I sit here, I can't believe that any judge worthy of his or her title can decide that the recollation of election results should continue in the manner in which has been prescribed. If you read the law governing elections, collation is done at designated collation centers. Designated collation centers only. That's what the law says. Now, we have moved ballot papers from regions, taking them completely to other regions. The first instance was at the police training school. Now, the ballot papers are being moved from other regions to Accra. What is the law which makes that possible? Somebody should tell me the law which makes that possible. Who says that it's okay to do that? Then we are told by the Electoral Commission that these results are going to be recollated because the presiding officers in the collation centers were intimidated to declare the results. intimidated. What does that mean? Were some people holding guns to their heads? How were they intimidated? We are not told. You understand? Now, interestingly, yesterday, on social media, videos of the declarations in most of the disputed collation centers were put out. And it was clear that those declarations were so peaceful. Those declarations, in fact, did not involve any intimidation. In fact, there was jubilation at those collation centers and so on. I mean, Tema, I saw the video on Tema
Central.
Tema Central. Yes. And I saw the presiding officer declare the results. No sign of intimidation. So what is happening? And I'm told, I hope it is true, I'm told that in court, the presiding judge refused to accept those videos as evidence. That's what I'm told. The videos will show that the results were collated and declared peacefully. In any case, the declaration of results is the last stage of a process. The last stage of a process. The results are counted in the public view. They are recorded on paper. They are signed by all the political parties or their representatives before the presiding officer makes a declaration. At what stage did the intimidation come in? At the point of counting? At the point of recording them on paper? Or just at the point of declaration? Because if the pink sheet is the basis of a declaration, why would anybody intimidate anybody to declare results? I can't understand this rigmarole. I can't understand the circus which is unfolding before our eyes. But then that is a claim, okay? Then we are also told about the need for consistency in the application of the law. And I recall 4 years ago, when there were complaints, even in Techiman South, where people died, people were shot and so on, for recollation of results. And the Electoral Commission's position was that you can't do that. Once the results have been declared, if you are not satisfied with the declaration of results, go to court. The same Electoral Commission today is telling us that, oh no, we will not just recollate, we will carry the ballot boxes from wherever the collation was done, bring them all the way to Accra, mobilize 5,000 policemen and women to come and protect us, engage in an illegality. I can't believe this. There's no consistency. No consistency at all. Not a shred of consistency in what is happening. Now, Senator, if you mobilize 5,000 armed men, what for? 5,000 armed men and women. What for? War? Dr. Edu, you were defense minister, you know, 5,000 armed men and women, that's 5 battalions, isn't it?
No, we have 5, but no, battalion is 1,000.
Battalion is 1,000, isn't it?
That's 5 battalions.
You mobilize 5,000 battalions.
5 battalions.
Hey, sorry.
5,000.
You mobilize 5 battalions to count votes. Hey, what is this? And you see, for the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, look, she's my friend. No, she's my friend.
Hey.
Yes, she's been my friend for many years.
What a friend you have.
Well, but you're also my friend. Don't forget that.
Yes, but I mean, you have your right friend, and there's a friend who hold daggers.
You know. Yeah, today, there will be 2 armored vehicles in front of your house. For how long are you going to have armored vehicles in front of your house to protect you? How long? Very soon one day, those armored vehicles will not be there. You should be protected by your integrity.
Fantastic.
You should be protected by your commitment to build a new Ghana where fairness is at play. Rather than armored vehicles, these armored vehicles, they don't protect you. And listen, the armored vehicles by themselves do not provide the protection. It is the people who drive them, who operate them, who give you the protection. How do you read their minds? This election has shown that amongst the police service and the military, the government is in the minority. And indeed the vote was secret. It is possible that all those men in those armored vehicles standing in front of your house voted NDC. It is possible. How can you trust them?
And the NDC won them.
How can you trust the men who are managing, moving those armored vehicles and so on? It's an empty, useless exercise. It gives you no protection. You are better protected if you do things that the people of Ghana think is right, rather than these armored vehicles. And don't allow people in government to deceive you. Don't allow people in government to deceive you by giving you armed protection and so on. For what? I mean, we also Afarijan. Afarijan, Smoking Joe. He moved even without police escort. He drove his own car around and so on. Charlotte Osei, we saw her. She didn't have armored vehicles protecting her and so on. Why do you have this level of protection? Ask yourself why you have this level of protection. Now I'm told, and it hasn't been confirmed, but I'm told that the Director of Elections of the National Democratic Congress is seeking to review or change the decision of the High Court and has filed processes and so on. Now, if that is the case, then we are going to have to send these 5,000 policemen and women who mobilized to Accra back home. Who is bearing the cost? Who is bearing the cost? You see, so many things have happened in the aftermath of this election that must be exceedingly worrying for every Ghanaian who wants to see this country progress. One of the things that has been most shocking for me, Senna, one of the things that has been most shocking for me is to discover that in one coalition center, the pink sheet that the NDC agents are holding is different from the pink sheet of the Electoral Commission and different from the pink sheet that the NPP chaps are holding. How is that possible? Because it's the same document with triplicate or quadruplicate. You understand? So how can the first sheet be different from the second sheet and different from the third sheet? How is that possible? The only way that can be possible is if somebody tries to rig. If there's no attempt to rig, the pooling, the pink sheets should be the same. But we have had cases where all the different people involved in the process have different pink sheets. How is that possible? Massa, how is that possible? Magic?
It is possible. It is possible. When they said it's possible, they know the meaning of it's possible.
You see, so I'm completely baffled. But you see, what is happening now was foretold. If you have your ears to the ground, what is happening now is foretold. I watched somebody on a Kumasi television station, and somebody who has self-declared his allegiance to the New Patriotic Party. And this person sits on television looks us all in the face and says that, oh, after this election, we know that the people won't vote for us. Listen, says that we know that the people won't vote for us, but we will win the elections. How do you win the election when the people don't vote for you? And he explains further. He says, we have dwarfs. So the dwarfs will go and change the election results. Now, when you hear people in a political party talking like this, what are they telling us? They are telling us that they will rig the elections. Finish. No more explanation. They will rig the election. Dwarfs will go and change the election results. And then I had another leading activist of the party saying that there are more than 1 million ways of winning elections. 1 million ways of winning elections. What are those ways? ABA, what are those ways? 1 million ways of winning elections. What does that message mean? It only points to attempts at rigging. You understand? And then there were other statements. I mean, you know those statements. So what is happening now was foretold. Okay? I want to send out a message to all the people and the institutions who are involved in this shenanigans. Look, the outcome of this election is a reflection of the anger, the frustration, and the pain of the Ghanaian people, no doubt. The Ghanaian people have endured incessant increases in fuel prices. They've endured it. They haven't routed. They haven't broken heads and so on. They endured it with grace and decorum. The Ghanaian people endured astronomical increases in food prices with grace, with decorum, and so on. They have endured insults from half-baked lunatic politicians. They've endured these insults. We've endured so much. Please don't inflict violence, needless violence on this society. That is taking us too far. You have messed us up. You have insulted us. You have punished us. You've inflicted pain on us and so on. Don't take us to the next level of visiting us with violence. Because we will not allow you. We will stop you in your tracks. The Ghanaian people in their collective will resist this madness of pushing this country to the brink, leading to violence. It will not be tolerated by anybody. And the earlier our leaders woke up to this reality, the better it will be for them, for us, and for the world, and for everybody. They have to wake up to this reality. You see, Sana, one of the things too which has happened in the aftermath of this election is the general lawlessness. General lawlessness. Reports of looting here, reports of looting there, and so on. Initially, the propaganda machine of the New Patriotic Party made it look and sound like all those involved in these acts of hooliganism were NDC elements. Only for the truth to emerge that indeed some NDC elements were involved in it, but also there were activists of the New Patriotic Party, leaders of the New Patriotic Party, who were involved in the hooliganism. You know the case around the central region, Winneba area, where people went for iron rods and fertilizers and so on. It turned out that the NDC cadres were the people preventing the thievery of the state resources. And that thievery was being orchestrated by elements associated with the New Patriotic Party and some of its members. Now my shock is that in the face of this lawlessness, the President of the Republic, the Commander-in-Chief of the Ghana Armed Forces, and the Chairman of the Police Council turned around and asked the President-elect to take action to stop the hooliganism. What? Hey! What powers does the President-elect have? No powers at all. He's just President-elect. You are still sitting there, Supreme Commander of the Ghana Armed Forces, Chairman of the Police Council and so on. And you are calling on a powerless President-elect to take action. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. Strange. But that happened. The other thing which is happening, which is also surprising, is the rush to secure appointments, to appoint people to state institutions. And the reports we are getting is that thousands are being employed in the dying minutes. Now, if you wanted to employ them, why didn't you employ them last year or 6 months ago? Why now? What are you trying to do? So all kinds of things are being done. Now, they are not even being done in secret. Some of it is being done in the full view, full glare of the public. They have the effrontery to actually go to Parliament and ask for tax exemptions in the dying moments. You have 2 weeks to get out of office. We are in a hurry to get tax exemptions. Why? In any case, who has given this country a cost-benefit analysis of these tax exemptions? The tax exemptions are not given for nothing. They are given in order to achieve a certain objective. We should be able to provide a cost-benefit analysis of the tax exemptions. What has it done to the economy? What has it done to industry? And so on. Then, on the basis of the empirical evidence, we can decide how to go forward. No cost-benefit analysis has been done. No cost-benefit analysis has been done. But they rush to Parliament and they insist on giving tax exemptions. Amazing! Completely amazing. It doesn't end there. Because of the transition, the envisaged transition and so on, there is no budget for next year. Because it is presumed that the incoming administration has to prepare its own budget based on its own sense of priorities and so on. So what is normally done is that an interim arrangement is presented to Parliament for approval so that January, government workers can get their pay. They can pay their rent, pay their children's school fees and so on, so that they can survive for the month of January and so on. Now, when you hear some of these MPs, the way they talk, they are almost blackmailing the country and saying that, look, if you don't approve the tax exemptions and approve the loans we want to take in the dying moments, we will not present the budget. What blackmail? This is a clear case of blackmail. You understand? In any case, these tax exemptions and loan agreements and so on, they had the opportunity to go and defend it in Parliament 2 times. They refused to go to Parliament. Now in the dying moment, you are still rolling all of us to go and approve loans. You have 2 weeks to stay in office. What are you going to do with the loans? 2 weeks to stay in office. What are you going to do with the loans? And because those loans are not being approved, and those tax exemptions are not being approved, public sector workers should go hungry. Their capacity to look after their wards, their children, their dependents, should be curtailed because they are not getting tax exemptions. What recklessness is beyond this? Absolute recklessness. Unimaginable recklessness. And we are tolerating it. I can't believe it. You people, I think you should be careful. Because now, what we are doing is actually provoking us. You are provoking the whole country. You are provoking public sector workers. You are provoking everybody by this irresponsibility. I can't believe it. Then, it started last week, something very strange. All of a sudden, led by the finance minister, NPP propagandists are telling us how stable the national economy is. Read the newspaper headlines. This is one. This newspaper is called Custodia. We are giving you a stable economy, finance minister tells Mahama. More. Everywhere you turn. You understand? Stable economy. And then they give us figures. GDP. And these people, they don't learn. These are people who claim to have gone to Harvard, to Oxford, and so on, so on. They don't even understand common economic terms. What does GDP mean? Gross domestic product. In real terms, what does it mean? It is a statistical average. So your GDP can be growing whilst the people suffer hunger, illiteracy, and disease. Your GDP can still grow. So you should not be quoting GDP into our faces. You understand? They talk about per capita income. It's a statistical average and so on. In any case, if you borrow at the rate at which you borrowed, and your GDP doesn't grow, then there's a problem. Then the droughts may be at work. Because the GDP can be accounted for by the level of borrowing. That alone is capable of stimulating growth in the economy. You understand? Yeah, but the loans that we are not paying. Now, you are exiting office at the time when you have decided to suspend debt payments because you say that the economy cannot pay debts, cannot pay its debts. You can't pay debts, you've borrowed, you can't pay. And you turn around and say you are living a stable economy. What stable economy is unable to pay its debts? Stable economy which cannot pay its debts? Master, as we speak, WASI results have not been released. Why? Because government owns 18 million cedis. It cannot pay 18 million cedis.
118.
Oh, it's 180 million.
118 million.
118 million. Master, thank you. That's why I like you. You know. Because government cannot pay 118 million. So is that a stable economy? A stable Ghanaian economy which cannot pay 118 million in order to get WASI results released. That's your stable economy. That's your idea of a stable economy. Unbelievable. As we speak, ABA said it. Some of our listeners and viewers have said it. We are suffering doomsday. 2 days ago, Musuku, the lights went off for 5 hours. Because we cannot pay the independent power producers. At one stage, we were owing them more than $2 billion. We couldn't pay. That's your stable economy? Hey, Abba, why? Look, we may not have gone to Yale. We may not have gone to Oxford. We may not have gone to the other one, MIT and so on. But we still have some brains in our heads. Our heads are not empty. You understand? So don't talk down to us with these silly figures. Figures which make no sense whatsoever. That's part of the aftermath. And then one other thing. And ABA did the same thing here. ABA Fuseni did the same thing here. Heaping of praises on Dr. Bawumia because he considered defeat. No, don't worry. heaping of praises upon praises on Dr. Bawumia because he considered elections. Clergymen in their fake cassocks and so on, all trooping to his house to go and praise him to the high heavens. He considered. Could he have refused to concede? Master, could he have refused to concede? I mean, what's wrong with us? As if he had the power to say no. He had no such power to say no. He did what he had to do, what he couldn't do anything about. So the praises, please, moderate them. Moderate them small. That's one of the things that is happening now. There's silly praises. Oh, that they accepted the result. Could they have said that they will not accept the results? Let them try. It's not late. It's not late. Now that they know how to do recoalition, now that they know how to give excuses for recoalition, let them come and say, oh, we've just discovered that the results declared for President Mahama, some of it was done under duress, so we are going to recollate. Now it is sufficient. It is sufficient justification to do recoalition by saying that people were threatened without giving any evidence. So come and tell us that the votes that President Mahama had, some of it was the result of intimidation, and go and recollect and declare whoever you want as president and see what thing will happen for here. What is this? What is this? Unbelievable. You see, we don't have too much time, so I want to end on a note. And it's a note of agreement with my friend, my very good friend, Dr. Tony Edu. There is too much madness in our system. Too much madness. Now the people don't count. The people who stood in line suffered to go and vote. The people who resisted all kinds of shenanigans to bring this outcome, they don't matter anymore. Everybody, and it doesn't matter which political party they are speaking from, NDC, MPP, CPP, what happened is God's doing. So, is God that partial? And when I was going to Sunday school, one of the things that we were taught was that God was not partial. But in Ghana today, God sometimes is MPP, sometimes is NDC. He's a partial God. And I'm not going to worship any God who displays this level of partiality. That God is not worth my worship. What is this nonsense? You wake up in the morning, God. You move one step, God. You sleep, God, and so on. Meanwhile, what the results of this election has demonstrated very clearly is that the majority, if not all of those shouting God, God at us, are charlatans and nothing else. Complete charlatans. That's what they are. Look at that woman who on Friday said that she had spoken to God, and God had told her that Dr. Bawumia was going to win landslide victory for Dr. Bawumia. On Sunday, she has started waving the NDC flag all over the place. Is she not a charlatan? Complete charlatan. Then there's the other one who went to his church and said that God had revealed to him that there was going to be a landslide victory for Dr. Bawumia. And then, after Dr. Bawumia lost, according to Dr. Tony Edu Porto, the same guy goes to the same congregation and he says, well, as for God, he does not lie. So what he told me is true. If there's any lie, I'm the liar. And then the congregation, yay, hallelujah, hey, hallelujah. What is this madness? So what did God tell him? God told him that Bawumia was going to win. Bawumia lost. Is what God told him true? Because if it's true, Bawumia should be in charge. He should be preparing to take over. So it's not true. So either he concocted this stupid story which paints God as a biased person, or his God lied to him. No two ways about it. And what amazes me is that I saw the congregation which was sharing. People who look decent, they look decent, well dressed. I'm sure they woke up in the morning, took their bath, put deodorant under their armpit, put lavender on their bodies, signed their shoes, and went to sit there to behave in such stupid and silly manner. Unbelievable. What's happening? Look, if we don't get out of this morass of stupidity, we are not going anywhere. The other day I was watching one of these churches, ABA, watching one of these churches. And the priest who calls himself a bishop says he's a bishop. Bishop! 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 And he's telling his congregation that, look, the night before, he went to heaven. And he saw Jesus Christ. And he told Jesus that you, this Jesus, you didn't behave well. It is because of your behavior that you were crucified. And the congregation was cheering. And then he said he met Moses. He met Moses, and he had a conversation with Moses. And he met Angel Gabriel, and so on. And they're cheering him. These stupid people, these liars, these charlatans, they're the one driving the political situation now in Ghana. And Senator, I am shocked. All those people who want to be our leaders, they go and kneel before these charlatans. And they pour dirty oil on their heads. All of them, without exception, all of them, no exception. When it comes to this, there's no NDC and there's no NPP. They are all the same. Dukadaya. They go and kneel before these charlatans. And they have no respect for us. We went and queued. Some in the sun, some in the rain, and so on, to vote for them. They say your vote doesn't matter. Your vote doesn't matter. You didn't make us president, not the people. So how are these people who think that your vote doesn't matter going to keep promises they made to you if your vote doesn't matter? This God nonsense has to come to an end. Yeah, look, our constitution guarantees the freedom of worship, the right of worship. Believe whatever you want to believe. If you want to believe in Susumkabre, believe in Susumkabre. If you want to believe in Tigari, believe in your Tigari. If you want to believe in whatever, believe it. But it is your private affair. It is not a national affair. It is private. Don't impose your religion on the rest of us. It's a violation of the Constitution. And Suhini, Mrs. Suhini. Oh,
it's okay.
Senna, I'm sorry. Senna, I'm very sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Slip of tongue.
Yeah, I think the panel.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. But don't worry. even
Somebody went and said, hey, your mama said, okay.
Oh, then I need to say,
now, even on this panel, it has happened again. I hear people saying that this president, incoming president, we are watching him. We will not accept this father for all things. We will not forgive him if he comes and he says he's father for all. He has not, he cannot refuse to be father for all. Go and read the presidential oath. That oath that is going to swear on 7th January. The Constitution, his oath, enjoins him to be father for all. If you can't be father for all, you cannot be president of Ghana. Read the presidential oath. If you have the presidential oath, read it. It's an injunction on all presidents to treat all citizens equally. to be fair to all manner of persons, and so on. It's in the Constitution, it's in the presidential oath. So every president, I have an objection to the use of father. Well, the president is not my father. He can never be my father. He's a president. But the president, a president of Ghana, has to be a president for all the people, including people in the opposition party, and so on. That's a constitutional injunction. That's the oath of office he takes. You understand? So you cannot say that he won't be president for all. Should he subvert the constitution? Should he undermine the oath of office he's taking? Please, let's think about these things before we talk. President is president for all. And you see, I'm increasingly also getting worried about a certain attempt, it's a subtle attempt to do damage to the image of Professor Mills. I hear people say, oh, as for Professor Mills, he came. He didn't want to fight corruption because he thought he was father for all and so on. That's a bloody lie. Professor Mills did everything he could to fight corruption. He didn't condone corruption. His father for all meant that he was going to be accessible to all Ghanaians irrespective of their party affiliation. It meant that he was going to do justice to everybody irrespective of their party affiliation. It didn't mean that he was going to condone corruption. Why did he set up the Ghana 50 probe? Why did he set up the Ghana 50 probe? He set up the Ghana 50 probe. Why? He investigated the youth employment program. Professor Mills vigorously fought against corruption. Unfortunately for Professor Mills, some of the cases he took to court were thrown out by the judiciary for various reasons I'm not going to discuss. Why? The former foreign minister was prosecuted under Professor Mills. What did the courts decide? So please, don't destroy the image of Professor Mills. He did not condone corruption. Professor Mills did not say that he was father for all, so those who are stealing national wealth should be allowed to go home free. He never said that. He never did anything to suggest that. Don't do that to him. And then last night I was watching television, and some very young man who probably was in secondary school when Professor Mills was head of state and so on, was sitting on television and claiming that is why former President Jerry John Rawlings was angry with Professor Mills. Who told you that? Where did you learn that from? Don't do damage to the image of Professor Mills unnecessarily. It is not true. That claim is false, and it should not be allowed to persist. Boss, I finish. Well, first of all, I'd like to comment on the petition for the removal of the Chief Justice. My comment is very simple. Look at the Constitution. The Constitution says very clearly that on receipt of the petition, the President has to consult the Council of State. Council of State. Okay. And that the consultation should lead to the appointment of a committee to look at the petition, to determine whether the Chief Justice must go or not. Now, this committee is made up of 5 members. The Constitution prescribes 5 members. 2 of them must be justices of the Supreme Court. Any 2 justices of the Supreme Court qualified to be members of this committee or commission. And the choice is the President's. Don't forget, the choice is the President's. And then there are 3 other members also appointed by the President in consultation with the Council of State. And what is the qualification? They must not be judges of the Supreme Court. They must not be members of the Council of State. They must not be members of Parliament. And they cannot be lawyers. That's all. So the President, wow, he has no limitation. 2 members who are judges of the Supreme Court, you can get that easily. Especially now that we all appear to know the orientation of judges on the bench. It's so easy to select two. As for the 3 members who should not be members of parliament and so on, 3 NPP serial callers, they qualify. Yeah, 3 NPP serial callers qualify. Anyway, say now you qualify, you qualify. I think all of us here, except ABA, you qualify, you are no longer a member of parliament. Okay. So you can actually have the 5 members, 2 justices of the Supreme Court. Who else? Kejinfua, member. Justin Kodia, member. He's a lawyer. He's disqualified.
What about Squilla?
Who's that? Who's that?
Squilla. You don't know Squilla?
In the animal farm.
The Squilla in the animal farm.
No, I know animal farm.
The opposite is in the MPP.
Okay. So you can have that one too. Yeah?
Arthur Kennedy said, Miracle Abuaje is the Squilla.
And the committee is made. What judgment do the committee? So I think that the petition is quite solid. I read it. It's well researched and so on. But the outcome will still depend on the outgoing president, you know. So I would leave it at that. As for Aura, I'd like to make a comment, which comment generally is about all the appointments which have been made so far. I'm worried. I'm not seeing any gender balance, any attempt to focus on gender, especially given the campaign for this election, where we made so much noise about the possibility of us getting the first female vice president and so on. You look at the transition team, both sides could only nominate 2 women. You set up Aura, there's no woman on it at all and so on. Maybe as we go forward, this will be corrected. Maybe as we go forward, this will be corrected. But the signs are not good for now. When it comes to gender balance, the signs are not good at all. I've read comments made by President-elect John Mahama on Aura. And I think that they are brilliant comments. First of all, he clarifies the point that the public purse would not be expended on this committee. And that it's just a focal point for collecting information. And that they are not going to be engaged in prosecuting, okay? And that they are incapable of witch hunting. And as he put it, they have no brooms to fly in the night and so on. I mean, all those clarifications are good, and they set the parameters. What I want the members of this committee to notice is that we are in a transitional era. And in every transitional era, there's a lot of vendetta. A lot of people who make allegations which are unfounded. There's juggling for positions and so on. All those things are going to come before them. People are going to come with all kinds of manufactured stories about who stole what and so on. They ought to be careful. And they ought to realize that every citizen of Ghana, whether they are NPP, NDC, or CPP, deserve fairness and justice. You understand? I mean, I have seen several transitions. I know what happens. In fact, when Nana Akufo-Addo became president, you couldn't drive a 4-wheel drive on the streets of Accra. You'd be accosted, you'd be molested. Because it was assumed that anybody driving a 4-wheel drive was a government official and had stolen the car. And so we should avoid that now. We should avoid that now. I'm happy about the caliber of persons who have been chosen. I think that they are sensible people. I think that they are down to earth and so on. They should focus on the assignment and be mindful of attempts to manipulate them in order to achieve some ends, which may not be desirable and which may not be in the national interest.
Thank you for staying tuned. PENDREAM TV really appreciates your time and wishes you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year in advance. Stay blessed, stay safe. Thank you.
Dedi kama mamena PENDREAM TV ase. Na so far so good. Say open online portal e wo Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.